my friends, welcome to the channel. I am Nicole and I do live here in India, and today I'm with my mostly good, sometimes only best friend, Laurence.
Hello.
And she is here today to help me give a reaction to the Minister of External Affairs, Mr. Jaishankar, his response on the Trump tariff and what India's strategy might be.
Let's see.
Let's see. I would like to see what India's strategy might be. I think it's going to be in really working with the administration and trying to get rid of those tariffs. I think that would be the way to go. We are a partner with the U.S. in terms of trade. India is, or the U.S. is India's #1 trade partner. Let's see what we can do, or rather, let's see what Jaishankar thinks that we're going to do. If you haven't already, give a like, give a subscribe, and let's go.
Since you said it's been challenging circumstances, it's beyond what anyone could have imagined. Let's.
Challenging is a nice way to put it, right?
So, someone in some places where I listen to say it's Game of Thrones, and it's to see who's bending the knee.
Oh my goodness.
And I felt like this is so accurate.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, take the
Yeah.
knee. That's what Trump is doing, huh? Interesting. But challenging. Yes, it's been a little bit challenging.
Address the elephant in the room, and that is the tariffs that have kicked in today. That's what our business editors have been telling us. The reciprocal tariffs have kicked in today. And first of all, I'd like to understand from you, what is your assessment, what is your reading of, what is going to be the impact of these reciprocal tariffs on India? What is India's strategy to try and deal with the fallout of it? If you could sort of, elucidate what your views are.
I don't think it's possible to speak about what would be the impact because we don't know. What is our strategy? I think that's pretty clear. We decided that we will engage the Trump administration early on this set of issues.
They were.
And we were very open with them, very constructive with them, as they were with us. What we agreed to do was to try to negotiate a bilateral trade agreement by fall of this year. To the best of my knowledge, and I could be corrected here, I think we are the only country after President Trump has assumed presidency the second time, which has actually reached such an understanding in principle. So I don't know, every country, because every country is tariffed, okay? So every country in the world today is fashioning its own strategy of dealing with the United States. In our case, our strategy has a goal, and the goal is to see whether it's possible to actually deal with this situation by concluding a bilateral trade agreement. And I should add that in an interesting way, this has long been our objective. The present situation may have created the circumstances for such a serious conversation. But if you look at President Trump's first term, we were actually negotiating a trade deal which could not fructify. And if one looks even at Biden's administration, we discussed trade possibilities, and we ended up with the IPEF initiative. They were very averse to doing a bilateral agreement. So from the Indian perspective, actually doing, working out something bilaterally with the United States is not at all a sort of a negative or a sort of unwanted situation. On the contrary, it is something which has long been our objective.
But tell me, Dr. Jaishankar, as you take a moment to drink water, you've been part of many bilateral negotiations, trade negotiations in the past. These things take time. You said we're hopeful that the BTA will be wrapped up by the fall. Two things. what happens if it doesn't, and if it takes longer than that? And two, how confident are you that you can actually wrap it up by the fall?
Well, I've always wondered why it takes such a long time. You know, frankly, I've never figured it out.
You tell us.
No, I've never figured it out because, you know, I see, you know, we have trade negotiations which have been going on for decades. And the negotiators meet, I think, every 6 months or 3 months or 4 months. And I wonder why. I mean, if I were doing a negotiation, I'd be at it till I got the job done. And I think today, when I look back at the last, since the Prime Minister's visit, I'd say mid-Feb, so we're about 6 weeks since then, we've actually had multiple rounds in this period. I think we've had more periods, discussions with the Americans in the last 6 weeks than I suspect we've had with the Europeans in the last 2 years.
But you're also sort of accelerating the FTA talks with EU, with UK and so on. Do you think that, this is a 35,000 feet view question, do you reckon that Mr. Trump, by doing what he's doing, is forcing other countries to, you know, start trading more with each other and start processing these FTAs in a quicker fashion?
You know, look, you are attributing everything in a way to President Trump. I understand why. But I want you to look at it for a moment from an Indian perspective.
Sure.
Okay? Since, let us say, since the beginning of reform, 1990s, in 30 years, what are your FTA agreements? They're largely to the economies east of India, okay, with the ASEAN, with ASEAN members, with Japan, with Korea, Australia, which is not the same. Now, where are actually your many of these are competitive economies.
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, with most of these countries, we are running today trade deficits. Now, where is the natural growth potential for our exports? It's to the countries west of us. You know, it's in the Gulf, it's in Europe, it's in the UK, it's in the United States, possibly in Latin America. And actually, those are the agreements which have lagged behind. So it's been our endeavor, I can tell you. I mean, from 2014, for example, we've been pressing the Europeans saying, look, can we re-engage, because we had stopped engaging. Then after Brexit, we responded very quickly to the UK's interest in reaching an agreement. And, you know, we see an opportunity, I mean, in the current situation vis-a-vis the United States. These are, to me, really the priorities which we should be doing. We should be doing it in our own interest, not because some other president of another country says, he's created a situation.
You had sort of become a bit of a lightning rod for them about talking about oil imports from Russia, saying how can you import from a country that's gone into war and invaded and so on. And you've laid out very articulately for India and for the rest of the world what India's position is. Now the same Europeans are scampering for an FTA with India. You know, you see a double standard there, or?
No. I think you're being unfair to Europe. Yes, you're being unfair to Europe. I think the Europeans were serious about an FTA earlier. It's just we haven't seen that kind of urgency. You know, maybe their way of working is different. So I can't expect everybody to be the same. So they take, you know, typically they have taken much longer periods between interacting with each other. My point is that, look, Europe today, I think, realizes the importance of deeper ties with India and the relevance of the FTA for that purpose. We had in the end of February 21 European commissioners led by President von der Leyen visiting India, very unique happening, not just for India, even for them. They don't normally do that. I think there's a very serious message coming out of Europe saying we want to move forward on this. We welcome it, we reciprocate it, and I am pretty confident that just as we are seeing a very intense engagement with the United States, and by the way, with the UK as well, I expect the pace to pick up with Europe. We have an aspirational goal. We'd like to close out the FTA this year. But, you know, when we get there, we'll see.
Interesting. So he says it's not necessarily Trump that has spurred everybody.
Yeah, I didn't understand it that way. I think that what he means is
That it should have been
no, whatever decision you take, you can't take them
just because of Trump.
looking at Trump and how Trump is reacting, but looking at what India is going to benefit from it by the move we are making, you know?
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do think it's really important for India to, you know, make agreements with other countries. I know that, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing, you know, like I'm fairly sure that India realizes it cannot, you know, just be dependent on the US to be its #1 trade partner all the time. And India has so much to offer. And, you know, when looking at other countries in the EU or in, you know, Australia and Japan and these other places, we can definitely build up our relationship with them and open up trade agreements there. It's interesting when he mentioned that a lot of these agreements have been ongoing for 10 years. Like, that's crazy. Like, why would they wait that long? And I don't understand even the political side of why they would wait so long to create an agreement between countries like that. And if it is Trump that is sort of spurring it on, at least it's a good thing. Yeah, it's making it move. And that's not a bad thing. So it looks like India, as always, it's playing its cards in a really good way. And hopefully we're going to come out of this stronger, right? Excellent. So that's our reaction. If you would like to see something else, please put it in the comments. If you haven't already, please give me your like and please give me your subscribe. It helps my little channel and I appreciate it. As always, we love you and bye-bye.
Bye.